Today we are making optical illusion hands. Art with Miss A. Before we start this project, let's talk about form and dimensions. A dot has no dimensions. A line describes one dimension. A plane describes two dimensions. And a cube describes three dimensions. So the way to think about this is anything on a piece of paper is two-dimensional, generally, and anything that is tangible that you can touch is three-dimensional. Today we're going to look at the Dutch artist M.C. Escher. This is Drawing Hands that was printed, it's a lithograph, in January of 1948. And it depicts two hands coming out of the paper and they are drawing each other into existence. It's quite amazing that he was able to make something that was two-dimensional appear to be three-dimensional. All right, let's get started. For this project, a piece of paper and a hand and a pencil. Put your hand and your wrist on the paper and you're going to use the pencil to draw a contour line, the outer edge of your hand and wrist. And you're going to use that pencil to follow it. Once you pull it up, if there's some wiggly lines, you can correct that with your pencil and make any corrections and erase any of the lines that don't need to be there. And once you have all of that outlined, we are going to be drawing some lines that are curved. And you can do that with your pencil just to feel how it feels. And you're going to start at the bottom of the paper at your wrist and start doing these curved lines. You want to act like you're making maybe a mountain or a hill, and you want to go from one side of your hand and wrist to the other, drawing those lines back and forth. But make sure they're curved because that will make the illusion look even better. Continue doing the lines all the way up to through your fingers. Make sure that they're curved as well as you're going up each finger. That will make the hand look appear to coming off the page like Escher's. All right, all finished with my curved lines on my hand and wrist. Now it's time to make the straight lines. You want to make these as straight as possible. On this version, I made them freehand. The second version, which you'll see later, I used a ruler. But you want that line to go all the way through from one side to the other, just using the edge of the hand as your guide. And you want then to do the same thing on either side. And when you go through your fingers, you want to make sure you make the lines match up. You just want to make sure the line goes all the way through so you have a stripe. All right, just about finishing up on the background, making my straight parallel lines going up the page. Parallel meaning they match each other and they are straight. And I decided when coloring this, and I used color crayons, I went with a red color, a warm color, and I'm coloring in every other stripe on my hand, following through with the same pattern. If you've done white, then you would do red and you'd go back and forth. Here is my finished hand. I did the background in two colors, one light green and one more of a forest green. And I also did a pattern, one dark, one light. So this is my first version finished. All right, so for the second version, I did the same type of hand, making my curved lines on the hand. But with this background, I used a Sharpie, and I went directly onto the paper with a ruler and Sharpie and made straight lines going from one side of the paper all the way to the other, skipping the hand. And you will see this version finished and colored as well. Ta-da! So now that I've finished my hands, I'm going to be adding shadows. Shadows make the appearance or the optical illusion of the hand coming off the paper even more realistic. So I just have a light source that I'm showing you. If I have the light coming from the left, the shadows would be on the right side of the hand. If I had the light on the other side, it'd be the other side of the hand. So I put the light on the left side, so my shadows will be on the right side of my hand. And what I used here was a color crayon. And I'm simply lightly putting in shadows on the right side of the hand near the thumb, and I'm gradually building up darkness, and then I'm going to go finger by finger on the right side and also do the same. And you'll see at the end how much it does look like the hand is coming more off the page because of the shadow. You're making it look like it's actually sitting on top of a piece of paper, and with the shadow, the light source being on the left, it is making the hand look like it's actually three-dimensional. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to use Escher's example as inspiration. All right, on this hand, I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to have the light source on the right side, so all the shadows would now be on the left side. It's always the opposite of where the light source is coming from. You can actually do this with a lamp and lay your hand down and look at where your shadows are when you lay your hand down, just so that you can actually see an example of how shadows work. And artists use shadows to make things look three-dimensional on a piece of paper that's only two-dimensional. So here I am with the same colored crayon adding shadows lightly. I'm not coloring really dark. I'm kind of just lightly adding it in. And now that I have them both together, you can see how they look like they're coming more off the paper. And that is our optical illusion hands, inspired by a famous artist, Escher. And we learned about contour line, which is the outside line of anything. And then we use a contour line, drawing that with a pencil, tracing our hand and wrist. We also learned about warm colors and cool colors, being the other one, being green for my background is a cool color. All right, well, thank you for joining me today. If you can imagine it, you can make it, and you can change your world. Until next time, stay safe, wash your hands, and make a lot of art. Bye for now.